Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy New Year's nice Saturday morning over here, of which tomorrow I should make a note that I'm actually going to be traveling, so video might come a little bit later in the day, and if you're trying to reach me for whatever reason, which maybe you are, maybe you aren't, then I probably won't have internet connectivity until later tomorrow night, Sunday, or probably more likely Monday. Other than that, today I wanted to do a high-term time frame analysis, a continuation of the analysis actually that we've been looking at for the past few weeks here, maybe in the past month, and maybe a little bit of short-term time frames as well. Not super interested in those over the weekend. I mean, does Bitcoin pull back in the short term? I don't know, probably yes, but that's not what I really want to be focusing this video on. In fact, I mean, we're kind of getting a pullback right now. Other than that, yes. Oh, yes. The buy-bet promotion. Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of comments about the buy-bet promotion with 0% on maker fees for derivative contracts, not just spot, but derivative, which I believe is only available with my link in the description below. Some people are kind of having issues with that. I've spoken with their representative, and he's assured me, he's shown me, and we've backtested it now too, that yes, that promotion is still viable all the way throughout November. Yeah, there you go. All right, sweet. So let's just jump right on into it. I wanted to start it off with a continuation of the Dixie higher term time frame analysis. It's kind of been playing into the hopium case for the past few weeks here, or the past month, I guess, as Dixie slowly puts in a weekly top. Now, I want to be very deliberately clear. I am not calling like a major macro reversal on Dixie, just very likely a continuation of the pullback. Why is that? We've hit two extremes on weekly volatility, and typically you do get a bit of a counter trend move after that. In this case, trend is the upside, obviously. So counter trend would be to the downside. That is alongside 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence on weekly RSI, and then the weekly jewel having a pretty damn powerful sell signal about a month ago, actually. Yeah, early October is when this one started to formulate there. On top of that, the weekly stochastic, it did close below the momentum pivot, which was 113 and 12 cents. And ultimately, I'm still looking at this as a likely top as long as Dixie is below 114. That is to say, 114 in validation. Until then, very likely over the next few weeks here, especially coming into next week's, economic events. You got US midterms, you got CPI prints coming out, probably works its way down. And, there's going to be bounces along the way, very, very likely. But, namely maybe around like 108, 108 and a half. And then again, maybe around like 105 to 105 and a half. But ultimately, I suspect that we do see continuation on this. Other than that, I wanted to now get very quickly into the Bitcoin low-term time frame analysis, and then we'll go from there. Basically, yesterday we were looking at a closure above 20,800 as likely to get continuation to the 21,500 to 21,700-ish region. I believe we've just about seen that move in the early morning hours here. Bybit getting up to 21,468, so likely short-term, bit of a pullback. But now the big sort of pivot, I suppose, would be that same breakout level, 20,800, specifically on a closing basis on preferably higher term timeframes. If Bitcoin were to, come back down below their close, then that's going to be a good indication that there's going to be one major massive trap. Not necessarily looking for that to happen, but if that were to happen, that's what I'd be looking for. You can see on the lower timeframes here, there is bearish divergence printing. So that is why I do say weekend, if I had to call it, if you put a gun to my head, probably does pull back a little bit here. But yeah, that's kind of my line in the sand for this one. Other than that, I wanted to now get into the higher term timeframes where I think a lot of very interesting things are going on, especially with the way that CME closed yesterday for Friday. And so what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at extreme lows on weekly BBWP representing volatility. These lows are consistent with some of the lowest levels that we've seen throughout the full history of CME. So, what does that typically imply? Macro move incoming. Now, can we get a bias on direction, however, is the real question. And I suspect yes. First, and maybe not foremost, but of interest, is that the weekly stochastic oscillator continues to close above the momentum pivot, which was just below 19,000 bucks. We'll see a little bit of bullish divergence come off the lows right here as well. And it's hopefully going to work its way out of the critical zone, which would be a good indication that we're going to probably see higher before maybe lower, which would probably happen in 2023 if it's going to happen. Anyways, going back on over here and looking at the weekly RSI, we got a bit of a falling pizza going on. I'm typically not a fan of patterns, especially on price action. I think triangles are okay, but Falling pizzas I fucking hate, or falling wedges for the normies out there. But in this case, you can see it is in there. And these actually do operate pretty damn well, especially historically. I mean, that's kind of how Bitcoin bottomed in the last cycle. But as you can see, it's testing right at the top side of the pizza there. So if we do start to see a closure above, which obviously is going to happen this week because we already closed, but next week, then that would be resolved, and you're very likely to see weekly RSI work its way into the at least neutral zone around 50, probably even the edge of the bullish control zone, which on Caretaker's RSI, you can actually forecast where the price action would be for that. Obviously, it's going to change from each and every week, but as of right now, which it's not going to be right now, or very unlikely to be right now, be around a little bit above $30,000 actually. If you go to spot price action, the same falling pizza is in there as well, and actually the RSI is above the topside resolution. So perhaps that gets confirmed tomorrow, but I'd still trust CME signals over spot price action. Also on CME is some bullish divergence on weekly RSI between the June lows and the lows that we did see that were lower on CME but not on spot price action in September, basically. On top of that, we do see that the Joule signal on the weekly for CME continues here, which is generally good. Spot price action has the same thing as well. And ultimately, probably looking at a move towards a 21. Let me see, what else do we have? Okay, so we got that. Now let's get into the fun stuff over here. So this is a 2-day time frame. I wanted to bring up another volatility versus stochastic momentum signature here. I think this is still the most interesting portion of the analysis to myself, just because we can actually back things up with statistics, even though sometimes, statistics going to be fucking statistics, right? Anyways, in this case, we have a signal with the 2-day time frame volatility of stochastic momentum. That's the little blue thing that my cursor is currently on right now at extreme lows. When that starts to expand from extreme lows, we have seen an average move of about 39.5% occur over the course of about 3.5 weeks. And 80% of the time, the stochastic also has been correct in getting the volatility expansion direction. Problem with this is we only have 10 iterations. And when you only have 10 iterations, I mean, data is pretty much fucking limited. And we're also, and this is the full history of CME, by the way. I mean, can't do anything more than this. To put this in perspective, when I'm backtesting my lower term time frame strategies, I want to see like 50 iterations minimum, and more like around 100 before I really start to put like real money to work. So take that as you will. Anyways, as of right now, the 2-day time frame stochastic oscillator is still curved to the upside. This one will close on Monday, and I suspect that it'll continue to the upside into the critical zone, assuming that Bitcoin closes above 19,450. It's kind of a big if, but so far so good as of right now. What else? Yes, so it is getting into the critical zone right here, which obviously momentum is going to be much more difficult to keep up at that pace if and when it does get there. But it should be known that on all of the extreme moves here, like the extreme moves, they happened in the extreme zone. For example, I'll give you a big one over here. This one from October 2020. Well, the 2-day time frame stochastic oscillator, when it was starting to expand, was obviously angled to the upside, but it was already in the critical zone, and this was like the move beginning from basically 12,000, which I mean really didn't honestly stop till like 20,000 a little bit, and then really actually got a real reversal over here. I took the lower end of these measurements simply because what I wanted to see was the first pullback, and I'd like to go, and I just don't think it's helpful to be like giving the data more breadth than what it's actually worth. So I like to always assume the worst. Anyways, with that in mind, just like the last daily signal, these sort of signals can be front run, and fair enough. I mean, that's a personal decision, which technically speaking, this one was front runnable on the 27th of October, actually the same day as the daily signal. And then that obviously comes out of cost benefit analysis, right? If you front run it, you get potentially more returns. If it fails, then obviously, it fails, and well, that sucks. And then obviously there's going to be more risk involved as well, because if it's unconfirmed, then, it's not as likely to continue. But as of right now, still angled to the upside. So fair enough. I think that kind of speaks for itself. Of course, everyone has to be their own judge based off their own preferences. But in this case, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on a video like this. Again, a reminder, tomorrow is going to be limited, going to be traveling for most of the day. So we'll see what's reasonable at that time. And then, yeah, we'll come back after that. Anyways, other than that, I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.